everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley, and today I'm going to be giving book recommendations based off of TV shows that you've enjoyed. I know that I've done a video like this at least once in the past where I talked about movies, and I might have included TV shows in that as well, but I think it was just movies. And I may have done something with like, if you like this book, read this book. I don't know. Any related videos I'll add in the description down below so you can check those out as well. But today I really wanted to do a video focusing on TV shows because I've been watching a lot of really great TV shows lately. I feel like finally there's just a lot of great stuff coming out again. We were through a lull with the beginning of the pandemic where there just wasn't as much good stuff coming out, which makes sense. And now I feel like I've watched a lot of shows that I've really enjoyed. And after I watch these shows, I always find myself thinking of wanting to read books like that. My enjoyment on movies and shows and books tends to be along the same tropes and things. So I thought it'd be fun to do a video talking about those TV shows and giving you book recommendations based off of those. The TV shows I'll be talking about today are mostly on Netflix and a couple on HBO. And these are just shows that I've personally really enjoyed recently. If there are any other shows that you would like me to do this again with, definitely let me know down in the comments below and I can include those in the next round. But let's just go ahead and jump on into the recommendations. So the first show that I want to talk about is a Netflix show that I really loved recently, and that is Midnight Mass. This is a show from Mike Flanagan, who is the creator of The Haunting of Hill House, the movie Hush, and maybe a couple other things that you've heard of. And so I was really looking forward to it because I've really liked stuff from Mike Flanagan in the past. This show was a little bit different from his usual stuff, but I still really enjoyed it. In this show, you're following a guy named Riley Flynn who is returning back to his small town on this small island after he has been put in prison for some things that have happened in his past. This island town is very interesting. It definitely has very small town vibes where everyone knows everyone and everyone knows everyone's history. And so Riley's facing a little bit of prejudice when he comes back into the town already, since he's been put away for something he's done in his past. But meanwhile, the town is also getting a new preacher for their church who is coming in, and it is a much younger guy. After he comes in, some weird things start happening in the town. Some miraculous things start happening, and Riley is very skeptical of this new guy coming into town and why these things are occurring. The story just evolves from there. I think this show was great because it involved such a good balance of real life horrors with supernatural horrors. The real life horrors with things like Riley living with a ton of regret and being haunted by his past. There are other people in the community who are a pretty significant part of the show, and there are people who are battling their own struggles or dealing with grief or caring for an old parent. A lot of other real life horrors. But then there's also this preacher coming into the town and all these miraculous circumstances happening and making you question if there are some supernatural forces that are coming into play, whether those are good forces or bad forces. So the book that I have to recommend for people who enjoyed the show Midnight Mass is The Burning Girls by CJ Tudor. This was actually the first book I read of the new year, and it was an automatic 5-star for me. I loved it so much. It was a book that I really wanted to get to last year, but I just kept putting it off, and I'm so glad that I finally read it. Similar to Midnight Mass, this is a small town thriller that has very much small town vibes. There are also religious threads in the story and also potentially supernatural things coming into play as well. In this story, you're following a female vicar named Jack who is being relocated to a new parish in this small town, and she is bringing her teenage daughter with her. She herself has had something dark and mysterious that happened in her past that has led to her needing to be relocated to this parish. And then the town itself also has a dark history and mysterious things going on in present day. It is a town that is known for what happened hundreds of years ago when a bunch of women were burned at the stake. And then a couple decades ago, some teenage girls went missing, and that's a pretty infamous thing the town is known for. And then most recently, the last vicar of this parish hung himself in the church. So Jack does not know what she's getting herself into coming into this town, and it ends up being an exploration of all the mysterious things that are going on in the town while she's also dealing with things that are going on within herself. And so I think this is just the perfect pairing for if you enjoyed Midnight Mass, you should definitely give this book a read, or vice versa. If you've read this book but you haven't watched that show, I would definitely recommend checking that out because there's just so many similarities between the two and they're both so good. They also both have really big endings that I really enjoyed, which is sometimes hard to come across with thrillers and horror. Sometimes they really blow it in the ending, but I really love the endings of both of these. I enjoyed the whole thing for both of these, the show and the book, so I would really recommend checking them out. Next up is another Netflix show called Clickbait. This is an 8-episode series on Netflix that follows this family after a tragic event has taken place. This man, Nick Brewer, who is a husband, a father, a brother, and just seems like an all-around great family man, ends up being taken hostage, and this video is released that goes viral of him in pretty bad condition, obviously being held hostage, being beaten up, and he's holding up these signs admitting that he abuses women and that if the video reaches 5 million views, that is when he will be killed. So everyone in his family starts freaking out. At first they're in denial, and then it becomes this huge rush to try to find him and figure out what's going on before the video can reach the point to where he will be killed. And throughout the series, in each episode, you follow a different perspective in the family. So in one episode, you follow the sister's perspective, then you follow the wife's perspective and the kids' perspectives, and all these different perspectives to try to piece together what led to this event. If he had this secret life he was living, how did that all come about? Who has him now? And are they going to be able to save him before he ends up getting killed? This show is so freaking good. It's so fast paced. There's so many secrets that are unraveling. And I especially love the structure of it, how you follow each different family member to try to piece together the clues of what's going on. And so the book that I have to recommend for if you enjoyed this show is The Perfect Family by Robin Harding. This is also a family drama thriller where there is this picture perfect family. They seem like they're the perfect family, but then their house starts getting these attacks, which at first seem like just childish things going on, like their house gets egged. And they're not incredibly worried about it at first, but the attacks keep happening and they keep becoming increasingly dangerous, even to the point where it could kill them. So it clearly seems like someone is after them for some reason. And throughout the book, you're following each different perspective in the family, the mom, the dad, the son, and the daughter, and learning about the secrets in their lives that are all coming together and trying to figure out who is attacking them and why, and if they'll be able to make it stop before it becomes deadly. Similar to Clickbait, there is also a blackmail plot going throughout the story. So if you find that to be an enjoyable aspect in thrillers where there's like a ticking clock and someone's concerned that their whole life is about to be ruined, then I definitely think you'll enjoy this as well. I will say personally, I enjoyed Clickbait, the show, better than The Perfect Family by Robin Harding. I thought the book was about a 3-star read for me. It didn't absolutely blow me away, but if you find these storylines to be something you really enjoy, it's definitely one that I would recommend picking up because there are a ton of similarities between them. The last Netflix show that I wanted to talk about is one that I couldn't leave off the list, and that is Squid Game. This was a huge phenomenon last year. People were obsessed with this show, and it's for a good reason because it is so much fun to watch. This is a show that revolves around a contest where these hundreds of people come together and they get the chance to compete in these children's games to win money, and all the people are in financial distress, so it's a really good opportunity for them. They really don't have anywhere else to turn other than coming to these games, and it seems like a great situation because you come, you play these children's games, and you can win money, but the catch is that the games are deadly, and so if you don't win the games, you die. Now this one I didn't have a perfect recommendation for. I feel like I haven't really read a book that is like this other than The Hunger Games, which is a classic that I'm sure you've heard of and read or watched the movies at this point, which is also about these people coming into these games that turn deadly. So I don't personally have a really solid recommendation for this. If you have a really good recommendation, let me know, but I did do a little bit of research so I could have a couple of books to just recommend if you wanted to come here and find some books to check out. And so the 3 book recommendations that I have for books that are similar to Squid Games based on my research is Battle Royale by Kushan Takami, #Murder Trending by Gretchen McNeil, and All of Us Villains by Amanda Foodie. The next show I want to talk about is one that is on HBO, and this was a sleeper pick for me. This is a show that I saw came out and I heard about. I wasn't particularly interested in it, but everyone said it was so good, and then I had people in my personal life recommending this show to me, particularly because I moved to Philly and this is based in a town near Philly. So I gave it a shot and watched a little bit of the first episode, but it didn't immediately pull me in, and so I just sat it down, and then a couple months later I decided to try it again, and I blew through the show in like 2 days. I absolutely loved it. So I don't know why why it didn't capture my attention at first. But if you try it and it doesn't seem like something you'll be into, give it a little bit of a longer chance because yeah, I don't know what was going on. But I absolutely loved this show once I gave it a second chance. And that is Mare of Easttown. This is a crime drama that is set in a small town outside of Philly that follows Kate Winslet, who is playing a detective named Mare, and she is very famous in her small town. She was a great basketball star when she was in school there, and so everybody knows Mare. Mare knows everybody. It's just that small town where everyone knows everyone and all of their drama and all of their history and everything that's going on in their lives. The story kicks off when Mare begins investigating a teen girl who has showed up murdered in the small town, and she ends up facing a lot of difficulties as she's investigating it just because of the small town nature of everyone knows everyone and everyone's keeping everyone's secrets and just trying to figure out what happened to this teen girl. Mare is also facing troubles herself as she is coming off of a divorce and she is grieving the loss of her son, who she lost to suicide, and she is also in a custody battle for her grandson with the mother of that child, who ended up being a drug addict and does not seem like they will be a suitable parent for her grandchild. So the book that I have to recommend for if you enjoyed Mare of Easttown is A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. This is a newer thriller that just recently came out that follows this woman named Chloe, who is a psychologist in Baton Rouge. And many years ago, back when she was 12 years old, her father ended up being convicted after all of these teenage girls went missing and were showing up murdered. So he has been in prison for a long time. He's going to be in prison forever. But now she's all grown up, still in the town. But then teen girls start going missing again, and she begins to see a lot of parallels between what happened in her past and what's going on now. Similar to Mare of Easttown, this book also has those small town crime vibes where everyone knows everybody and everyone's secrets and everyone's drama. And Chloe in particular is an interesting character to follow, being that she is the daughter of a serial killer, and then seeing those events start to happen again and her challenges navigating that in the small town that she stayed in. So I think that if you enjoyed the TV show or the book, that you would like the other one. And the last show that I have to talk about today is another HBO show that just kind of slipped onto my radar. I didn't hear anyone talking about it when I watched it. I watched it pretty soon after it came out, and I had no idea what to expect, and it was very strange. And that is White Lotus. This is a show that is set at this resort in Hawaii, and you're following several different characters as they come to take a week-long vacation here. You're following a family, you're following a newlywed couple, a grieving single woman, and the man who is the manager of the resort, who is a very wacky personality himself. When the show begins, you know that someone ended up dead at the end of this week, and then you go back to the beginning and see what happened throughout the week to lead to the chaos that ensued. This is a show that follows a bunch of rich people going to this luxurious resort, and it gives that feeling of looking at everything that should be this picture perfect paradise, but then exposing the cracks that lie beneath every person and the resort itself. So if you enjoyed this show, the book that I would recommend to you is a book that is also a show, and that is 9 Perfect Strangers by Leanne Moriarty. This is a book that was adapted to be a TV show on Hulu, so if you'd rather just skip the book and go to another show you can enjoy, this is one where you can do that as well. But this is a story that follows these 9 strangers who come together for a trip at this luxurious resort that is all about healing and restoration, and they may not have the most conventional methods to get you there. Similarly, you're following a group of rich people. You have multiple different perspectives. You have a strange, charismatic leader of the resort, and along the way you're exposing people's flaws and seeing the chaos that ensues. So that is it for all of the recommendations I have for TV shows to books that you should read. Let me know if you have checked out any of these shows and if you plan on checking out any of the books or vice versa. And also let me know down in the comments below which TV shows you'd like to see me do recommendations for in the future. Clearly, based on my list today, similar to my taste in books, I like a lot of mystery and thriller, suspense, horror shows. So if you have any other recommendations for shows I should check out, definitely let me know. But that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye!